Palm Sunday is coming up on April 13th, and Easter Sunday is April the 20th. Helping us to better understand all the important traditions surrounding Holy Week is Father Stephen Reynolds, a.k.a. Father Bart. Father Bart is the pastor at St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church in Houston. He joins us now for our monthly segment we call Smells and Bells. Father Bart, gotta love those sound effects there with the bells. It just adds a little something to it, right?
Sounds like the bells in our church tower.
Very good.
It's St. Michael's.
They're beautiful. It's perfect when we start thinking about the traditions of the church here. Holy Week is coming up. Lent is almost over, but of course we've got big Palm Sunday coming up this Sunday as well. For people who Father Bart, may not be too familiar with the Catholic Church, maybe they're just now tuning in and learning more about the faith. Tell me about Holy Week. Why is it so important? Why is it a central focus on our liturgical calendar?
Great question. Holy Week is really the culmination of the liturgical year. It's the conclusion of Lent, this time of prayer and penance and reflection and receiving the mercy of God, and also the practice of charity and service of the poor, all to orient us to the things of God and to help us to reflect upon the salvation we've received through the sacrifice of the Lord upon the cross. And so we take some of that cross more intensely in our life, and it all comes to a conclusion with the unfolding of the mysteries of our salvation, especially in Holy Week, which begins with Palm Sunday and then has the major days of Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, culminating in Easter itself. And Easter is all the more purposeful for our lives. It's all the more meaningful. It's all the more forceful when we've lived a good Lent. And if our Lent has been a little bit rocky, well, it's not too late to get back in the saddle and make the best of these final 2 weeks, especially as Holy Week approaches.
And I know that a lot of churches are having extra times for confession in the next couple of weeks as well to get us ready.
Yes, and it's really easy to find the confession times for your local parish. You can go to masstimes.org or similar websites and put in your zip code or your address. It'll tell you all the parishes within a reasonable number of miles, and you can go to each individual website or give them a call and ask for their Holy Week confession schedule. Many parishes will have confessions on Good Friday for extended periods of time. I know the cathedral has confessions all day long on Good Friday. And at St. Michael's, we have extended confession times. Other parishes do as well. It's good not to wait till the last minute, but it's even better whenever you go to confession before the dawn of Easter. And this is a perfect time to be doing that.
That's right. It's a good reminder. If you haven't been to confession in a while, now's a great time to do so. And I'm glad you had pointed out that people can go online and find where confessions, mass times are located at their local parish as well. I'm thinking about Holy Week here, Father Bart, and I remember being as a kid leading up to Easter on Good Friday and some of these other days where you go into the church and you see a lot of the statues that are covered, covered with veils. Tell me why they do that. And is Good Friday the only day of the year, I think, where there isn't like a mass?
That is correct.
Yeah.
To your first question, the custom of veiling statues and crucifixes and images of the Lord began really in the Middle Ages, and it was a way of indicating that before his passion, Jesus withdrew himself from public view. In fact, that was the reading in the old arrangement of the lectionary on the second Sunday before Easter, which was called Passion Sunday, which for us is the fifth Sunday of Lent. In the old arrangement, the account of the gospel was taken from John chapter 8, and in verse 59, when the Lord's enemies pick up stones to stone him to death, it says Jesus removed himself from their sight and hid himself. And so to commemorate that, these images were covered because if the Lord went into hiding, his disciples would have gone into hiding. And so their images were also covered. But it was a way, too, of heightening our senses and building within us a longing for Easter Sunday. So we have another thing that's being removed from the liturgy, because at the beginning of Lent, we remove the Alleluia, we remove the Gloria. Many places that they use beeswax candles will use unbleached candles, which are a different color, a more brownish color than the bleached candles. Of course, the purple of the vestments is also a sign of repentance and of the passion of the Lord. And then and then we take away the bells on Holy Thursday. If the bells are rung in the church, the Sanctus bells, and then on Friday itself, the Mass goes away.
Mhm.
It's the only day in the year when the Mass is not celebrated.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that, but it's just a powerful reminder of Christ dying on the cross on Good Friday.
Yes, exactly. It's as if the whole church is in the tomb with him,
Yeah,
waiting.
yeah, very good. And of course, all of these days during Holy Week correspond to things that happened leading up to Jesus'
Correct.
crucifixion.
So on Holy Thursday, for example, we commemorate the Last Supper, the institution of the Holy Eucharist. It concludes with a beautiful procession to the place of reservation. Every parish will have a place where the Blessed Sacrament is reserved overnight, in fact, throughout the Triduum, and that phrase, the Triduum, refers to Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, so the 3 holy days leading up to Easter. And at the conclusion of the Mass on Holy Thursday, there's a procession to the place of reservation, which is meant to echo the disciples leaving the Last Supper with Christ to go out into the garden to pray. And in many places, the church will be open at least till midnight, if not all night, so people can pray, as the Lord encouraged his apostles to pray, even if we take a little nap.
Just like the apostles.
Just like the apostles did, we try to stay awake and pray with the Lord. There's a beautiful custom in some places which started in Rome and was revived in the 16th century by St. Philip Neri of visiting 7 churches on Holy Thursday evening.
Wow.
And praying in each one. Now, it's harder to do here because our churches are kind of far apart.
Yeah, you got to get in your car if you're going to do
You
all
got to get
that.
in your car. It's not something you can do on foot as you can in some other older cities with a more densely populated areas. But at the very least, to make a visit to one church, our own parish church, and spend a little time in prayer. It's a beautiful way to begin the Triduum, to conclude Lent, and to reflect before going in deeper into those holy days.
I know I'm kind of bouncing around here when it comes to Holy Week, but let's go back to Palm Sunday or Passion Sunday, which we're going to be celebrating this upcoming Sunday. Tell me about the significance of the palms that we hold on to.
All the gospel accounts give us the account of Jesus entering into Jerusalem, and in a triumphant manner shortly before his passion began. He was received with great joy, and people the Gospels tell us, laid their cloaks on the ground and laid palm branches and olive branches on the ground as a way of honoring him. It's a kingly gesture. This is something that would be done for a person of high repute, and of course, Christ is the Son of David. He is the legitimate King of Israel, and of course, the King of the universe. And so, it is fitting this reception be given to him. And our carrying palms, which are blessed before the Mass on Palm Sunday, is a way of associating ourselves with those crowds who receive the Lord joyfully, because we want to receive him joyfully. And of course, those palms are then burned in the following year to make the ashes for Ash Wednesday.
I want to ask you just really quickly, when we go to Mass and we receive the palms, what's the right way, the proper way, Father, we're supposed to treat those palms? I mean, we're not supposed to just throw them in the trash.
No, you treat them as a blessed object,
Okay.
because they are blessed, they're sacramental. Many people will preserve their palms, and if they have a crucifix hanging in their house, maybe place them behind the crucifix so they stay there for the year. And then when the year is up, some parishes will actually burn palms, collect them from parishioners, and burn them for the ashes for Ash Wednesday. Most don't. It's quite a complicated operation to do that. But to dispose of them, they can simply be buried in the ground or cut up and put in the flower beds as kind of mulch. So they return to the earth.
Yeah.
We shouldn't throw them away in the garbage.
Right.
But they can be cut up and used as mulch or buried.
Okay, very good. Excellent. So
and of course, during Mass, people take their palms and they make crosses and things out of them.
Yes.
And you hear that all during Mass, the palms are being ripped, and it keeps the kids occupied in that long passion reading.
I was going to ask you about that, just being a priest, if you're noticing people during the Mass kind of messing with, trying to create the crosses and everything.
Yes, it's always interesting to see what they come up with at the end of Mass, because they'll say, "Look what I made." the kids, will manipulate them during the Mass and make all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're a little kid to pay attention to those long readings.
And it takes a little bit of practice to get the palm to actually turn into a beautiful cross.
Well, some are
where you
quite
get-
skilled.
Yeah, some people have practice.
Others could use a little more work.
A little bit rudimentary. Very good. So you'd mentioned that's Palm Sunday or Passion Sunday. You'd mentioned Holy Thursday.
Yes.
Of course, remember Night Watch in the Garden of Gethsemane. We had mentioned there's no Mass on Good Friday, and we mentioned some of those things about Good Friday. But just, again, to reiterate the fact that there's that kind of special time then on Good Friday then where we actually think about Christ dying on the cross.
Right. Well, the liturgy of Good Friday is the veneration of the cross.
Okay.
And different parishes will have it at different times. The traditional time is 3 p.m. Most parishes will have it in the evening because it's more convenient for people to attend after work. And it's a fairly long liturgy, not unduly long, but it begins with a number of readings, and then there's the Passion account from John.
Mm-hmm.
So this coming Sunday, on Palm Sunday, we'll hear the Passion from St. Luke, but on Good Friday, it's always from John. And then there are a long number of expanded intercessions, praying for the needs of the church and the world, and then the veneration of the cross. So a cross is brought into the church, up to the altar, usually a very large cross, the largest one the parish may have, and people are invited to come and venerate the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And after the veneration is complete, then the Holy Communion is distributed. So the Eucharist is consecrated. Enough hosts are consecrated on Holy Thursday to provide Holy Communion on Good Friday. And so they're in the place of reservation. They're brought to the altar. And even though Mass is not celebrated, Holy Communion is still given. So we're never without the Eucharist, even though the Mass takes a hiatus on that day.
In veneration of the cross, does that also include Stations of the Cross as well?
Well, look, it's distinct from that, but there are a number of other customs that can be observed depending on the parish and their schedule and what the priest is able to provide. Many parishes will have, again, extended confessions on Good Friday. Others will pray the Stations of the Cross at various times. So just pay attention to your parish schedule. Some will do the Chaplet of Divine Mercy at 3 o'clock or around 3. Some parishes will do meditations on the 7 last words of Christ from noon until 3, which we'll have at St. Michael's beginning at 12 noon. It's called the Tre Ore, which means the 3 hours. It's meant to imitate the time the Lord spent upon the cross and to accompany him by meditating upon the words that he spoke from the cross. And so the short gospel reading is made. There's a short reflection given on it, and then some time there might be a hymn or some time for silent prayer, and then maybe 20 minutes later, the next one, all through those 3 hours. And so we'll have that at St. Michael's with the Tre Ore beginning at noon, concluding at 3 with the Chaplet of Divine Mercy. We go right into the Passion of the Lord. And then we'll have Stations of the Cross in the evening at 7.
Yeah.
And so just check your parish website and see what your parish is offering or the parishes nearby. And you'll find something that you can incorporate into your day on Good Friday to help keep it a holy day.
It's one of the reasons why I love being Catholic is we have all these different prayers that you can go to that can help people really draw closer to Christ. And what's great is that people can pray these different prayers and see what kind of stirs them and what helps to bring them closer.
Right, and let's not forget that Good Friday is a day of fast and abstinence.
Right. That's
so
right.
we
sort of the last big day.
The last big fasting day of the year.
Yeah. Father Reynolds, when we start talking about Easter and Holy Week, there's a term that I want to clarify. Maybe you can tell us about it. Sacred Triduum.
Yes.
What do we mean by that?
It's the 3 days of Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday.
Okay.
It means the holy 3 days.
Very good.
And which is really, I mean, if you want to get technical, it's a distinct liturgical season from Lent. But it's regarded as such simply because of the intensity, really, of those days. And it's a beautiful opportunity for us to have a really strong finish to our Lent by participating in those liturgies.
Very good. Then, okay, Easter Vigil is Saturday.
Yes.
What happens on that day?
Everything. Everything happens. We pull out all the stops. So Easter Vigil is really the most beautiful and most solemn of all the Masses in the year. And I think a lot of people have never attended the Easter Vigil because it's late. would not typically begin until after sundown. And in our archdiocese, our instructions are to begin at 8:30, no earlier than 8:30 in the evening. It's a little bit late for some people. It's a little tough if you've got little kids, unless you have a babysitter, to go to the Easter Vigil Mass. But it's really beautiful. That's the Mass in which the catechumens, now called the elect, are baptized and confirmed and receive their first Holy Communion when they're integrated into the church. Sometimes also candidates are also brought into the church at that time. But it's really the time to focus on baptism, the baptism of the catechumens. We who are baptized will renew our baptismal promises, and really all of Lent is a preparation for the baptism of the catechumens and also the renewal of our own promises. And we relive all of salvation history. There's a beautiful ceremony at the beginning of the Mass of the blessing of the fire and the lighting of the Paschal candle, a light that's then distributed to all the others who are present there as we carry our candles into the church. And it's beautiful to see the church in complete darkness to be illuminated bit by bit by the candles until all the lights are thrown on. And then the proclamation of Easter, and then a long series of readings recounting the highlights of salvation history. And then following that, the rites of initiation for those who are preparing for baptism. And then the Mass continues as usual. And I've always advised people who are attending the Easter Vigil, especially the catechumens, to be baptized and their sponsors, don't wear a watch.
Because it's going to go long.
Take your watch. Well, not only that, you want to just kind of live in the present moment,
right?
And let things just kind of appear as they appear, without saying what's next. To experience it in a kind of supernatural present, and one of the great things about the Easter Vigil is the people who are there want to be there, and they're highly motivated, and they know it takes a little bit of time. And so they participate well. It's a very intense, spiritually intense experience, I think, for everyone. It's really beautiful.
Very good. Well, I know that a lot of families are going to be full of joy. This is Easter Vigil, as normally an Easter Vigil is, with people coming into the church and being able to welcome them. So a good reminder for all of those who are going to become Catholic during the Easter Vigil. Again, we appreciate so much. So much more we could unpack here, but this is a really good overview of Holy Week and a reminder, again, that this is that special time where we can focus on Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. Father Bart Reynolds, St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church in Houston, we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Wyatt. Great to be here.